Happy Friday, everybody. Tonight we have special guest, Mr. Joshua Hollins, Executive Director of the Louisiana Housing Corporation. We look forward to being enlightened tonight. And thanks everybody for joining us. Let's see about getting this brother in the room. Should be shortly. Okay. Hey, Joshua, can you see me now?
Yes, sir. I think we are on now.
Oh, perfect. How's your week been?
It's been a great week. It's been a busy week, but it's been a great week. Getting acclimated to the Louisiana Housing Corporation and all the great work we're doing down here in Louisiana. So it's good to end the week and be able to talk to you and your viewers tonight.
Oh, that's so wonderful. That's so wonderful. For those that are joining us, thank you for joining us tonight. We have special guest, Attorney Joshua Hollins, who is the new Executive Director of the Louisiana Housing Corporation. Typically, what we like to start off with is asking simply, who is Joshua Hollins?
Great question, Taj. Joshua Hollins, born and raised. I'm born and raised here in Baton Rouge, native of Baton Rouge. Love my Baton Rouge community in Louisiana. Attended Louisiana State University for undergrad. Graduate of the Southern University Law Center. And I spent the most part of my career in public service, Taj. I got started in our political realm here in Louisiana when I was 16 in our House of Representatives. Then went on to LSU, continued to intern in our State House of Representatives, graduated LSU, went on to our State Department of Justice, our Attorney General's office, doing community and legislative affairs. Also went on to Southern University Law Center, the evening program at that time while I was at the Attorney General's office. And then went on to our State Department of Transportation, where I was legislative director, and then finished my time there as Executive Counsel and Chief of Staff. Spent some time in the private sector. As a investment banker, I was the Vice President of Public Finance for Stifel, which is a publicly traded investment banking firm. And now I find myself back in public service as the Executive Director of our Louisiana Housing Corporation. And so I've been very fortunate to have a great career in public service. And it's good to be back in public service when I'm not serving the people. Love my family here. I have a wife that we actually make 6 years married this month, and
Congrats.
Have a 2-year-old little girl who is really my boss and runs the show. So that's a little snapshot about me, brother.
Okay, Joshua, in researching you and researching your career, as you just stated, you've had a long and varied career: public sector, private sector, finance, all kinds of things. But let's start back in your origin story. Growing up in Baton Rouge, who were your primary influences in terms of who you would become to be?
Yeah, I've got to tell you, I had a speaking engagement the other day, and I was preparing for it, Taj, and I was thinking about my foundation, and it really goes back to my family. People say usually you end up in politics. It's like, well, who in your family were in politics? What's your pedigree? What's your lineage? But really for me, it really came from the service side. I come from a family that's 3 generations military. I had a grandfather that was in World War II, father was in Vietnam, brother was Air Force. But then I'm 3 generations in my family of pastors. So everything I knew about life was about serving people. And so I tell people I attribute my success really in the public service realm and the ability to reach the heights that I have at the age of 30 by service. That's all I know. I feel like I've served my way here, and it's I'm very fortunate and blessed, but I know and attribute it to obviously my faith and service, but that was instilled in me and came from my family background. So,
okay, that's fantastic. your parents, in particular, were your parents in public service at all?
No, so well, my mom was an educator, so yes, my mom was in public service. My dad was in the petrochemical industry, retired from ExxonMobil,
Mm-hmm.
and but outside of that, they pastor a successful church here in the Baton Rouge community for the last 18 years, and so. Yeah, that's my mom was an educator, so I saw that public service on that side. But I saw them serve tirelessly in the faith community. Spent many of my weeknights sleeping on a pew in church,
Right.
and serving people. So that's the extent of what I saw from my background with family, yeah, and my parents.
Okay. Joshua, now I went to undergrad with a whole lot of folk from Baton Rouge. So I have to ask, which high school did you go to?
I went to the Baton Rouge Magnet High School.
Okay.
And 2855 Government Street.
Okay.
Go Bulldogs. And so I bleed green and gold. But I'm proud of our alumni lineage of leaders that have come from the Baton Rouge Magnet High School.
Okay. Oh, can you name a few of them?
So we have former lieutenant governor, now our commissioner of administration, Jay Darden, is a graduate of Baton Rouge High School. Our former governor is a graduate of Baton Rouge High School. Governor Jindal was a graduate of Baton Rouge High School.
Mm-hmm.
And our list rolls on. I run into Bulldogs all the time, so it's a great school. We actually top 120 high schools in the country. So yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
Okay, so after you left high school, you went on to the Louisiana State University. Is that correct?
That's correct.
What was your experience like there?
My experience there, obviously LSU is a PWI, right? And, I have to tell you that I was able to enthrall myself in those opportunities that made walking onto a campus where, I think at the time that I was at LSU, it was only about 8 or 9% Black. We had, I think, somewhere around maybe 2,000 Black students or a little bit more. But I was able to enthrall myself in those programs that were able to bring that sense of community where in a place where you were a minority. So, the summer before I actually went to LSU, I enrolled in a program that's called Summer Scholars.
Okay.
Taking African American students, putting you on campus just summer before your freshman year, being able to take 2 courses, but more than that, learn the campus, learn what's offered there in terms of enriching you in terms of your culture. But when you stepped on campus in that freshman year, when you walk into a classroom, I'll never forget, I walked into my first communications class in the auditorium. We had about 700 people in there, Taj. And you walk in there and you could throw a rock at the number of African Americans that were in there. That's pretty daunting when you step onto a college campus. And so I would have to say my experience was very enriching because there was the opportunity there for us to be able to make community. And we had Southern right across town. So whenever we need to go get love from our people, we were able to go right across town. But at the same time, we had our enriching experience right there on the campus of LSU. Was very involved, ran for student body president while I was at LSU. Was all involved in student government, student life, and enjoyed LSU. I met my wife on LSU's campus. So,
all right.
Yeah, so my time at LSU was very fulfilling for me.
That's awesome. During that period of time, Joshua, what made you choose to go into the field of law?
I went into the field of law really, I'll tell you, Taj, and this is probably a mentoring moment for me. I knew that I wanted to be around public service. When I went to the Capitol at 16, the bug just bit me. I was like, I love this. I got to be around it.
Yeah.
But it was the people that that I saw that were an example before me. So I saw other black brothers that were in that building being lobbyists and, you know, had their law degrees and were successful. And I saw that model before me, and I saw a pathway for me to say, you know, if I want to be successful in this, for me, I knew that I could be a successful trial attorney if I wanted to do that. But for me, I really went to law school for the flexibility it gave me in terms of career paths. I knew that I was going to be in some way, shape or form around policy making. Knew I was going to be around government. And so I knew that that law degree would help me to be able to create different pathways in that field and in that sector. And it's done just that for me, Taj. I'll tell you, I've probably had the most non-traditional path of someone that finishes with their Juris Doctorate and becomes barred. You know, while I spent time as Executive Counsel at DOTD, running the whole legal section at DOTD, I also, for viewers, Department of Transportation here in Louisiana. But I left there and I went into the municipal bond world. When I went into the municipal bond world, I was the only African-American underwriter for municipal bonds in the state of Louisiana. And I was able to go and do that in a very non-traditional way for lawyers to step outside and go into the underwriting side. And so it's afforded me great opportunities that I am grateful that I was able to get my law degree, but more than that, that I was able to get it from the Southern University Law Center. What we do with our alums at the Southern University Law Center, we're all around the country, Taj, doing great. I just talked to our chancellor of our law center today, and he pointed out to me we have at least 4 or 5 alums in the last probably 6 months that have either been appointed into running state agencies or been appointed into the Biden administration right here in the last 6 months in key roles. So Southern University Law Center is on the map. But I am grateful for my opportunity to obtain my law degree, and it's done very well for me in terms of my career opportunities and my path. So
that's so awesome. When did you come out? When did you come out of LSU?
I came out of LSU in 2012. So I came out December of 2012.
Okay. And when did you come out of Southern Law?
2016, December of 2016. Yeah.
Okay. Up here in Atlanta, man, actually one of my best friends is an alumnus of Southern Law, a guy named Christopher Tyson. I know there's another Christopher Tyson in New Orleans everybody always talks about.
Yeah, there's 2 Chris Tysons. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the one up here who's married to a sister from Baton Rouge is my boy.
Okay.
And so I got to say, y'all are excellent stock, and I'm really proud of y'all. Let's get into your current position. How did you become the executive director of the Louisiana Housing Corporation? Question 1. And for those that live outside of Louisiana, can you tell us something about that organization and what's in your portfolio?
Sure. You know, that's a good question, how I became the executive director of the organization or the corporation. You know, I was very happy in the private sector. You know, jumping into the private sector, it had all of its benefits, you know, bigger check than the public sector.
Yeah.
I was enjoying the bond industry and being able to really learn that and make an impact and be able to represent a lot of our municipalities that are represented by folks that look just like me and you, and be able to help them with those deals to meet the needs that they needed for people. But, you know, I just had that fire burning in my belly, Taj, for public service. I believe that once public service is a calling, once it's in you, it's in you. And I just felt the tug of that calling. And I'll be honest with you, when I first was approached with this opportunity, I said no. I didn't want to put my name in the hat because, you know, naturally I was able to be successful in the private sector and I was enjoying it. And that calling just kept pulling on me. And so I put my name in the hat. I went through a executive search, a nationwide search, 93 applicants. and was able to come out successful in that process and be named the youngest director in the history of the corporation.
All right now.
So this week made 3 weeks on the job. Our Louisiana Housing Corporation is energy efficient housing. So we are the state's housing arm. And so what that looks like for us, our mission is spread across about 23 programs. Go ahead, Tosh.
I'm sorry. Your last sentence, we kind of glitched. Can you repeat the last couple of sentences you said regarding the function of the Louisiana Housing Corporation?
Yeah, great. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So yeah, Louisiana Housing Corporation, we have a mission of safe, affordable, energy efficient housing. And so we serve as Louisiana's housing arm. And so we have about 23 housing programs within the Louisiana Housing Corporation that service the needs of people. So you can find us where we provide low-income tax credits to developers that build affordable housing developments, all the way down to we do weatherization in homes. We also have what is called our LAHEAP program, which is our energy assistance to be able to help folks who need that critical assistance to keep the lights on, keep the utilities on in their homes. And so we go from developers down to mom and pop who just need help in their homes. And so, but what the biggest thing that I'll tell you about Louisiana Housing Corporation is the connectivity to the critical needs of people, the connectivity to economic development. You know, we have these conversations about jobs coming to areas. Well, if jobs come to areas, where are people going to live? You need housing. And so part of my mission as the executive director is to be able to bring that synergy between the critical needs that people have and how housing fits into all of that. To build into our rural areas. You know, Louisiana is still a very rural state, Taj. You know, you think about Baton Rouge and New Orleans, but once you get off of that I-10 corridor and you get into some of those other areas in our North Louisiana area, it's still a very rural area. And so housing is so critical in those areas. And we have a housing shortage in Louisiana. And so we're going to be working tremendous. We have a lot of money that has come down from the federal government through COVID, through the pandemic, through ARP. See, my good friend Chris Davenport is saying Mansfield, that is one of our rural areas in DeSoto Parish. And so we are working to be able to provide the housing needs for Louisianians every day. I've got some Louisiana people on here because I see someone just said Alexandria. So,
life coach for the soul.
We call it Sinla up there, the 318. So absolutely. So I'm excited about Louisiana Housing Corporation. Partnership and collaboration is going to be a big part of what we do. We've hit the ground running thus far already. These 3 weeks have felt like 3 months because I've been working 7 days a week to make sure that we are able to put it in its best posture and make it be all it can be. So I'm enjoying it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you know, your spirit of service is something that I admire. For everybody that's joining the room, if you're just joining the room, we are here with Joshua Hollins, the Executive Director of the Louisiana Housing Corporation, attorney with a varied and a very impactful career, and still is very young. Man, listen, man. When you told me when you graduated, I was like, man, I'm so old, man. Like I didn't realize how old I was. but so proud of you, man. I have a buddy from undergrad, Joshua, that is in finance. And when he saw your biography, he was very excited because of all of the things you've done. You know, those that are just joining, this brother has been involved in billion-dollar transactions and things of that nature. You clearly have been very well prepared, Joshua. Tell us about your personal support system. I believe that I met your wife before, who seems like a lovely person, and you seem to have a great support system too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I would have to tell you, man, my support system allows me to be able to do what I do. I was telling someone recently, they were asking about my career, and I was telling them that I was working full time. I was in law school in the evening, and I got married at the same time. Something was wrong with me. Probably I was crazy. But I just had that kind of support system that has allowed me to be no holds barred, to be able to chase my career goals, but really also to be the servant that I am. And so, Taj, often my week is so jammed. I work, I travel and serving, but at the same time, finding time for family. I play drums in my church every week.
You do?
I do. And so 7 days a week, I'm jam packed, but it's often very fulfilling. Just before I got on with you, I had time to be able to get in the pool with my little girl. And so it's finding those moments, finding those pockets to stay focused on what matters most, which is your family. But at the same time, my family gives me the latitude to be able to do what I do. So it's rewarding, and I know it's not something that everyone has, and so I don't take it for granted.
Oh, so you're 3 weeks in to the position. What has been the most what has been the thing that you've been most surprised about since assuming the leadership mantle?
Yeah, what I've been most surprised about, Taj, I would have to say is the need. And I understood where we were in terms of housing for the most part in our state. But when you get out and you start traveling, a couple weekends ago, I was in Monroe, Louisiana, which is the northeast quadrant of our state.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to a home workshop that the city of Monroe was having. And I walked in that room, Taj, and I had about 150 people, mostly that looked like us, that were seeking to buy their first home.
Wow.
And, one of the programs we have at Louisiana Housing Corporation through our single family home program is that we help folks be able to buy their first home. We educate people to say, if you're paying $700, $750, $800 a month in rent, you can own a home. And so when I walked in that room and I saw those people, when you could see some of these people have been renting their entire lives, and what decision making for them to enter into a program like that was going to do for them generationally.
Yes.
We know that homes are generational wealth builders, right?
Yes.
And so I told those folks, I said, you don't realize the decision that you're making is impactful to your grandchildren.
Yes.
And so the need for housing is great, not just to be able to put a roof over their head, but to be able to provide the wealth builder that can change the trajectory of people's lives. There's this documentary that I saw during Fair Housing Month. Fair Housing Month just passed us in April. And they did a study, Taj, of two families in New Jersey. It was a black family and a white family. The white family was afforded to move into this up-and-coming suburb. The black family was redlined out. And they looked at the wealth of the white family versus the wealth of that black family over time, the schools that those kids were able to go to, the colleges. And it all started with a home. It all started with home ownership. And so that's probably been the most surprising thing to me is just how great that need is, and what the work that we have to do to be able to get people in homes, but also use housing to spur wealth and increase in our communities. And so I've got a fire and a passion for it, but I got to tell you, the need is what's lighting the fire to say we can't get comfortable, and we got to keep pushing to be able to deliver this mission. So.
Okay, man, that's fantastic, man. And I'm so glad that you have a fire in your belly to address those things, because we know that home ownership is linearly related to the financial outcomes, as you mentioned, for generations.
Sure.
Who are you inspired by leadership wise in the country or the world right now?
That's a good question, man. You know, I would have to say I look for leaders, and I wouldn't say I got one just right away, but what I would tell you is the model of leadership that inspires me the most is when I can find those leaders who are able to bring people together. You know, I have always embraced that in my time in government. You know, can you bring factions together? Because I believe that if you can bring factions together, we can deliver. And being able to break through political barriers, racial barriers, party barriers, to be able to deliver for people. Because I just frankly believe that we're not as far apart as parties, race, national news channels would like to drive us to.
Right.
And
Right.
so if I'm going to be a successful leader, if I'm going to really deliver the mission, if I'm going to help those families get to where they need to be, I don't have time to be in partisanship. And so I think the model of a leader that I always look to in politics is one that I can see that can navigate on both sides of the aisle to ultimately deliver. And I think when we get more of that going in our country, we're going to be in a better place. And so I try to do my part every day to model that, to ultimately be successful, productive, and deliver in the area in which I serve. So
amazing, amazing. And you know, somewhere I hope there's somebody out there that's going to look at this interview, particularly young people coming up behind us, that will hear your words and understand how necessary it is to understand the perspective of the fox and the hound. And,
yeah.
you know, if you were giving advice to a young person coming up about a critical skill that would allow them to negotiate differences in ideology between people that they're trying to cohere with, what would you say is one of the most critical skills?
I would say one of the most critical skills is you have to have the ability to step outside of yourself and understand where that other person is coming from. And I'm not just talking about a viewpoint, but it is a critical skill to be able to understand where Taj was raised, understand his familial background, understand what some of his life experiences are. If you can have the ability to know those things, but also have the emotional intelligence and social awareness to understand how that now applies to Taj's viewpoint, now I can meet Taj where he is.
Right.
I don't have to be so combative with Taj because I know, you know, if Taj has never left his rural community and been in a city or urban area, his viewpoint is going to be totally different. So now I've got to meet Taj where he is, right? And so I would say that's probably been the most critical skill for me, is to understand people's background, understand how that informs their position, and then, of course, obviously, being able to meet them where they are. So I would say in the society that we have right now, it's a very self-centered society, Taj. And so many people don't step outside of themselves. It's kind of what I think, how I feel. But the ability to understand and have that knowledge and even really care to understand where people are coming from is very important.
Awesome, awesome. If you had to recommend 2 books for people to read, what would they be?
You know, there's a book, and I'm gonna look, man. My wife gave me this book the other day, and it's centered around ego and I've got to tell you, I'm gonna find this book, and it is a very good book. It's called "Ego is the Enemy: The Fight to Master Our Greatest Opponent" by Ryan Holiday. And then the other book that is one of my favorites, I got to tell you, is I'm gonna send this book to you, Taj,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can be able to take a look at it.
Mm-hmm.
But then my other favorite one is Promised Land by Barack Obama. That book is one of a very enlightening book about his journey, and I enjoy that book very much. But this ego book is pretty good because it talks to that part of us that wants to stick our chest out, but helps us to put it in check when it comes to leadership. So those are the first two that come to mind. That ego one is one that just got put in my hand. I haven't finished reading it yet, but I'm trying to take the hint because my wife gave it to me, so she must think something's going on with my ego. So,
well, Joshua, my significant other, as you may remember, is from Baton Rouge as well. So I have
yeah.
to ask, being a native Louisianan, what is your favorite dish? Y'all have so much good food. What is your favorite local dish?
Man, my favorite thing is fish, man. I can eat fish prepared many different ways, like every day. But I got that honest. My grandmother was the same way, my mom's the same way. So on Mother's Day, Sunday, I'll be frying fish. So
Okay.
that's one of my favorites. And then this time of year, man, crawfish, right? Uh,
Yeah.
you know, a good crawfish ball, get out in the backyard, get your favorite drink, nice cold drink, and get you some crawfish and be ready to go, man. So
What's your favorite fish to fry?
we'll be frying catfish Sunday, man. Get
Yeah,
some
yeah.
catfish, fry some shrimp, and get in the backyard and have a good Mother's Day Sunday. So
Okay, that's a beautiful thing. I have to ask, what music are you listening to these days?
man, that I will tell you what I've been listening to all week is this new PJ Morton album. I don't know if
Yeah.
yeah, PJ just dropped an album. And so I've been listening to PJ's album all week. And then I would say there's also there's one of my favorite gospel. I'm a big gospel guy. Listen to a lot of gospel music. Just dropped a little single, pastor out of Chicago, Reginald Sharp. And then also been listening to a little Her this week. So I mix it up a little bit. But that PJ's a Louisiana guy, New Orleans. Love PJ, and so I've been bumping that album all week in the car. So,
Well, I gotta throw my hat in there on the PJ thing. My Morehouse brother as well.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
So I'm gonna try to mooch on to PJ and do a little claim on PJ. Man, he's so amazing, man. So amazing.
He is. He is.
Joshua, man. And you're a musician as well, man. I mean, do you play by ear, or were you in the? How did that happen?
I play by ear, man. You know, when you come up and you're a pastor's kid, you do everything in the church, Tosh. And our church was young, and we lost the drummer. My daddy was like, "That's it's on you, brother." And I learned. I learned. So, 16 years later, man, I still every Sunday if I'm in town, which is most of them, I'm up playing drums, brother.
Okay. What kind of church did you grow up in?
Non-denominational. So I will tell you, my grandfather is our family is based in the Baptist church. My grandfather was a Baptist preacher in North and Central Louisiana, and my uncle, my dad's brother, pastors New Freedom Baptist Church here in Baton Rouge, and then my parents pastor Jubilee Christian Center, which is a non-denominational church. So Baptist non-denominational is my background, man.
Okay. So I assume y'all get down up in that non-denominational church though, right?
Yeah, man, we do. We got, we got a little Baptist gospel going, man.
Okay, okay. Well, hand clapping. Look down at the cross where
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, Joshua, man, listen, I just want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to spend some time with us. Everybody, if you're not up on Joshua Hollins, please follow his work with the Louisiana Housing Corporation. He's doing great things, and more importantly, is serving the people. He who will be first among you must first serve.
Right.
I believe somebody said along the way. Brother, have a great weekend, man. Happy Mother's Day to your wife and to your mama and to all the women in your life, man. And thank you so much, man. And you already know, if you're ever in the A, you got to call me.
I will, brother. I will, man. Look, I appreciate you, brother. I thank you for the opportunity. Keep the platform going, man. It's great. I saw some of the other folks that's coming behind me this month. This platform is great for us as African-American professionals, as a community, to really be able to understand what we're doing as a people to make a change. And so I appreciate you, brother. And
thank you.
Either I see you in the A soon or I see you in Baton Rouge soon, because I know you got a reason to come, because you got get other brothers. So
yeah, bro.
Hope to see you soon, man. I really appreciate it, and thank you to your viewers tonight.
Hey, thank you, man. You have a blessed weekend, man. I appreciate you, man, and good luck continuing to be great.
Thank you, brother. Take care, man.
You too, bro. Good evening.